That's right, gang. Today we're talking about the legs when you work out, and that's her hook.
I wanted to put together a workout and an explanation of what people mean when they say, "Oh, I'm lifting legs." We
Yeah.
hear that thrown out a lot, or "Oh, it's leg day," or "Oh, I'm still sore from leg day 3 days ago." So I really wanted to break that down to provide some information on what a good leg workout would look like, and then
Yeah.
also give some very basic anatomy and physiology of the legs and things to target to provide a good workout and a beneficial workout for everybody.
And I got to admit, the leg workout is probably the one that I cheat the most on.
Okay.
I got to admit, I've got a much bigger upper body than I do lower body, but I haven't ignored it. But I know it needs help, and I think a lot of people out there are saying the same thing. So, show us a design. Give us a workout design for leg focus. What am I looking at?
Well, first
What does it
of all-
mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I'll start with the anatomy of the leg. So
Okay.
typically when folks are saying I'm working legs, they're typically meaning their glutes actually. So which is your hip. It's a hip
Okay.
extensor.
Yeah.
So your glutes are made up of 3 different muscles, some other little muscles in there, but for the sake of time and keeping our audience interested. It's just your glutes. So your glutes, so
your
your upper
glutes.
hip, your quadriceps, which is a group of 4 muscles that
Right.
flexes your upper leg.
Okay.
Okay, so lifts your knee up and then also extends your lower leg. So it's 4 groups of muscles that cross your hip and then go down and they attach on your tibia in the lower leg. Okay. The other group is your hamstrings, which is a group of 3 muscles on the back.
Back, yep.
Okay. They actually extend your legs, so extend your legs straight back, and they also curl your lower leg towards your glutes.
Got it.
That's 3 muscles. And then the other group would be your calf.
Calf, right. That
Your,
would be
your
the next section.
gastroc, which is made of 2 muscles.
I just know the bones. I don't know the muscles. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
That's
so
why we have her.
it's 2 muscles. So, I put together this quick leg workout to target each one of those muscle groups and break it down. So you would do the most difficult exercise, or for those of you that have injuries, I've got some alternate exercises that you can
Okay.
use to work the same muscles.
Sure.
So at the beginning of every workout, you want to start with what we call a primary mover exercise. So if you're working legs, you want to start with maybe your most complex exercise, the one that targets all those groups.
Muscles at once? Is
Yeah,
that what you're looking
all
to do?
muscles at once.
Okay.
So, the ideal exercise for folks to start with is the squats. Just a squat.
Okay. Yeah, I would have gone the wrong route. So
Yeah.
tell me why.
Well, squats are great because you can make all different kinds of forms of them. So the squat that we think of traditionally is the one with the barbell on your spine.
Right? You just go straight down and,
And
up, right?
you go straight down and up, usually, feet shoulder width apart, is the most standard. You go just below parallel where your butt gets just below your knees and then you squeeze back up. So that targets your glutes, hamstrings, your glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, and then calves in that order. Believe it or
Really?
not, your calves. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was,
Yeah, even though you're not going up onto your toes, they're still there to support you. And
Yeah, they're the closest ones to the ground at that point.
they are, yeah, but
really-
they
yeah.
also control the hinging of your ankles. So the more hinging or flexibility you have in your ankle, so the more dexterity you have in that calf, allows you to better and safer go into a squat
Really?
position. Yeah. So they all play a role in it.
Interesting.
But glutes are the primary mover of a squat. So
Okay.
squats can, seem a little bit daunting. Also, they can be incredibly unsafe if not done with a professional.
Yes, I've got a knee issue on my right knee. My tendon on the front is starting to slowly separate. So they've
Oh.
been telling me that squats may not be my best exercise.
They may not be your best exercise.
Yeah.
No. So if you can't do a barbell squat,
Yeah.
even just doing a body weight squat with
Yeah.
no pain, and somebody that might be able to work with your foot placement or help with your flexibility
sure.
might help compensate for that knee. That would be a whole different program with a
Yeah,
personal
yeah, yeah.
trainer.
But-
Yeah, we
so
would call
it's
that
the
a corrective program. So if you're just doing the squat, typically you do that with a bar. We recommend doing the bar because it places that emphasis down what we call your posterior chain,
Okay.
which is down your spine, your erectors, your back, all the way into your glutes, which is what the primary mover of a squat is. So it allows you to use your glutes the best. But folks with, let's say, spine issues don't want to be compressing the spine by placing a bar up there.
Sure.
So you can do things like holding weights at your sides,
Which I've done.
which would be a hip-loaded squat. Or you can place a weight up front, or just even holding onto a plate to do the squat, so you can sit back a little bit more, but places more emphasis on your quads.
So depending on where I hold either the bar or these weights, I'm going to put the load on different parts of my body, or
Yeah.
my legs
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And foot placement too. So where your feet are, the closer together they are, the more you're going to use your quads. The wider you are, the more you're going to use your hamstrings and your glutes.
Really?
Yeah, so just foot placement alone can change the emphasis of the muscles when you squat. And
See
you can also do this if you're not comfortable doing a squat,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't have a personal trainer to help you. You can do it on a leg press as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. So that
Yeah.
keeps you in that fixed plane and then doesn't leave much room for error with your joints moving either way.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So
That's
the
step one.
Yep, that's step one. So we'd start with the squats. And again, with the squats, if you're starting off and you're a beginner, you want to do between three rounds of 15 reps.
Okay.
Is typically what we start people at. Those that are more advanced might play with what we call pyramids, where you start at a high rep for the first round, go to an intermediate rep with more weight in the second round, and then increase your weight to maybe maximal effort for the third round.
How important is it to do the exercise right versus rep? Like a bad rep in a bad position,
It's of
bad
utmost
technique?
It's of utmost importance
All right,
to do
so
it
you'd rather
perfectly.
somebody be able to do 5 really good ones
Yes.
as opposed to 15 bad ones. All
You'd be
right.
surprised how much effort it takes to do 5 really good ones.
Okay, that's why I asked,
Yeah.
because a lot of folks will just
Go
turn
in there
on
and
some
wing it.
video and wing it.
Yep.
And you're just watching going, ooh, you really need some help.
Sure, yeah, and
know?
I don't recommend just going out there and doing squats unless you've got somebody that's looking at you, somebody that's got a trained eye that
Okay.
can look for what we call muscle strength deficiencies. So if you're, typically the average American that sits down a lot, their hamstrings are going to be really, really tight. So they're going to want to engage too much while you're going into that squat, and it's actually going to place tension in the front of your knees and cause quadriceps tendonitis, patella tendonitis, low back pain. So we want to put you on a program
Okay,
to
yeah.
correct that imbalance before
Wow.
we have you actually doing squats.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like where you're at.
Right.
Keep going. What
So
else?
we just got done with squats.
Yep.
We're moving into the second exercise.
Exercise 2.
So exercise 2, we're going to focus on just our quads. And a great way to work just our quads is using the leg extension machine. So in a gym, in a full functional
Okay.
facility.
Yeah, the one where you're
Yep, where you
essentially doing
sit.
this.
Yep, the pad goes on your lower
Yep.
shin, and then you're extending it straight up. So that actually isolates your quads. So
Okay.
it's what we call an isolation exercise.
Okay.
So we've already pre-exhausted the quads by doing our squat set. Now we're moving into leg extensions to get those quads. So you're
Really
just
worked out.
seated.
Yeah.
You're just seated. Again, you're going to pick a weight that you can do. Where the
Comfortably?
last 3 exercises, 3 reps are difficult, almost a failure.
Okay.
So if you're doing 15 reps, you want to make sure that you're picking a weight that you can do all the way till 13, 14, and 15 are pretty difficult.
So it's not always about how much weight. It's about, it's not about giant heavy weight.
Yes.
It's about the right weight is what you're telling me.
And using a good moderate tempo. So trainers, we use different tempos for different reasons to build up strength. You want to make sure that you're moving the weight, and this is just to keep it simple, but as fast as you're breathing.
That would really slow
Just
it
like
down for
that.
a lot of people.
Yeah,
Because I
it
know
would.
I've seen a lot of people just trying to crank those out as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And that sounds like it's not right.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast just on breathing for exercises.
Oh, there will be plenty of those coming
Plenty
up.
of those.
Trust me.
And again, with leg extensions, if you've got a knee injury, sometimes those are uncomfortable. Specifically with the folks that have tendonitis around their knees that haven't been treated yet, that can become really painful. So, the most regressed exercise to build up your quads are what we call short arc leg extensions. So it's the same motion,
Yeah.
however, you're seated on the ground.
Yeah.
And then you place like a foam roller or something underneath your knee, and what
Yeah.
it does is it shortens the arc. So then you're just going into
Really?
extension. It's just firing those quads
Yeah.
at the insertion around your knee to get them going, to build up that strength first.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of
in
sense.
a way, and it's also a rehab exercise as well for folks who've post-operative for knee surgeries.
Yeah, I've seen that when I was actually rehabbing one of my knees. So,
Yeah. So, trainers would start there with some folks that have pain when they're doing leg extensions. And you can increase the weight on that by adding, things like, a higher thickness of a foam roller underneath your knee, or you can add ankle weights to add more resistance onto the actual
Sure.
quads.
Cool. I like where you're
the
at.
whole, the whole deal is about getting them fired, getting them fatigued, and doing it in a safe manner without pain.
Yeah, and then getting the muscle strong enough
Right.
because they're usually pretty weak. When
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, then where do we move on from there?
So now we're going to target our hamstrings. So
Okay.
hamstrings are a fickle creature.
Yes, they're always tight on a lot
They're
of
always
us.
tight, most of us. Yeah.
Yes.
So again, you want to be making sure before you isolate hamstrings that you are pretty well balanced.
Okay.
And I say that because most of us have stronger hip flexors, stronger quads by the nature of what Americans have become as far as our daily life.
Right, 'cause-
So hamstrings, you want to make sure that you've done what we call prehab. Prehab would include foam rolling those hamstrings, providing some sort of pressure to start lengthening out that tissue before you go work out to provide
Really?
more mobility. Yeah. Because what you're doing
Really?
is, in essence, whenever you're isolating a muscle, you're shortening the muscle by building it stronger. You're shortening it every time.
Mm-hmm.
If you've already got tight hamstrings and then you go and isolate them, you're just shortening them more and creating a further problem.
Right. Then, yeah, that sounds like pain.
It is. It's pain. It's pain, and typically it travels into the low back because everything's connected in that chain.
Sure.
So, this is for the sake of somebody with the healthy hamstrings. So the prone lying leg curl is another machine.
Yes,
prone
I've
lying
used that one.
leg curl. Yep.
So you're laying down,
You're
you just
laying on
bring
your
them up.
belly. You usually have handles in front of you.
Yep. And you bring it up.
The weight's on, behind your Achilles tendon, and you're bringing it towards your butt.
Yep.
So it's the best isolation exercise for your hamstrings. It works all three of them. It works the length of it because you're going into full extension, and then you're curling that leg all the way up to full flexion.
Got it.
So it's a great isolator.
Cool.
So if that's a little bit difficult, there's also the seated hamstring curl machine. So that's the one where you're seated
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
and your legs are out in front of
Right.
you. It's the opposite of that seated leg extension
Right.
machine. So the pad's going to be behind your ankles, but you're seated, and it's a shortened flexion of your hamstrings.
Got it.
So you're not bringing it all the way up to your butt like you would on the prone leg curl. This shortens that, so you're able to isolate what we call the distal portion of your hamstrings, which is the portion of your hamstrings that's closest to the back of your knees.
Wow.
But still a good hamstring exercise. But
Still
it's
gets
also
the job
safe.
done,
Because there's folks that can't get into that lying position. So the
never
seated is
thought
a better
about that.
version.
Yeah, you make
or
a
it
good
hurts their
point.
low
Sure.
back by being arched a little bit.
Sure.
So having a trainer there to help you activate your core to keep that from arching and keeping you in a safe position helps. But if you can't, you don't have a trainer, use a seated hamstring curl machine.
I know we say this a lot, but guys, if you can go for the trainer, go get the trainer every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why they're there to learn this. Yeah. 'Cause
Even just to learn this stuff, even if it's for a couple of weeks, it's useful.
you learn so much. You actually save yourself time and injury.
Yes.
And that's what we're getting at. All right, so we've gotten through the hamstrings. Now we're moving on to the last muscle, the calves.
Calves,
Yes.
the brains of your lower legs.
Tell me more.
Well, they're engaged in almost every single leg exercise, but they're so important for ankle flexibility and ankle strength,
Okay.
which we use anytime we walk, run, jog, jump.
Stand on one foot.
Exactly.
Anything.
Those certain individuals in the gym where they've got big upper legs, big quads, big
Yeah.
hamstrings, and tiny
Little
little
calves,
calves.
yeah.
What they don't realize is that if their goal is to get big thighs, they should also work their calves to help propel them to do that as well. So some calf isolation exercises. There's the seated calf raises. That's where you're seated.
Yeah.
The pad goes over your knees.
I've
It's
used that
usually
one.
plate loaded, so you put a plate
Right.
on the front for resistance, and you just go up onto your toes. Yeah, up onto the toes like you're pushing into a gas pedal.
Cool. So that one's real effective?
Really good, and I like it for two purposes. So it
Yeah.
also helps you do a static stretch when your toes are all the way up, which we call dorsiflexion.
Okay.
Okay, and then before you push up onto your toes, which is plantar flexion, it helps you stretch that ankle and all the lower leg muscles around it as you're building up your calf
Okay,
strength.
okay.
So it's really, really important for those of us that are doing any fighting sports like yourself. It helps with toe strength as well, spreading your toes.
Yes. I understand that one.
Yeah, and
But
so
most of us wear shoes. Should we? What? Maybe that's a different podcast for equipment.
maybe
All right. We'll talk about that
I
one
can do
coming
a whole
up.
podcast on no shoes working out
I used to do it a lot.
and toe strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
That's-
they're very important, and boy, will they burn.
The next series, we're going to have some interesting ones for you, gang. Some stuff you've never quite thought about when working out. but-
Toe strength.
Toe strength.
Toe
We'll get
strength
there.
for bigger quads.
Absolutely. So if I don't have access to a seated calf raise machine, how else
Standing
do-
calf raises.
on the stairs, COVID forced me to do a lot of stair calf raises.
Josh, even standing still and just
Yeah.
isolating and rolling up onto your toe and going into full flexion,
Really?
holding for a 2
Really?
second count and then back down to
Because
flat.
I was always under the impression that I'd have to go below
yes.
the stair and back up to get a full workout. But you're telling me just standing and then lifting on
Yep,
my
just standing.
calves will be
Again, this
enough.
is a regression from the seated calf raise. So just
Okay.
standing can be enough for some folks. It also allows you more control. Anytime you're like standing on a stair, you usually have to grip something, right? Because you're rolling
Generally,
onto
yeah.
that big
Right.
toe.
Yeah.
We usually lose our balance unless you're like magnificent.
Right. Of course I am.
So doing it on just a flat surface, you can actually hold weights and do it on a flat surface.
Yeah.
If you need to, you can
good
grab two 10-pound plates and put them underneath your toes to add that extra dorsiflexion.
Really?
Yeah. So
I've
you
never
can go
thought
up
about
onto
that.
those plates instead of going to find a stairway.
Right.
And it's not as high. So until you build up that flexibility in
Got
your
it.
ankle, you can start adding plates until you're able to go into full mobility.
I never even thought about just having just the extra 2 inches from one of those plates would add.
Exactly.
adds
Or at
more
home,
resistance.
a textbook.
Yeah.
Textbook works as well.
That's really good.
Yeah, and
Those are good
again,
tips.
working angles, moving your feet in and moving your feet out will alternate isolating each side of that calf because there's two heads to it, right? There's the
Yeah.
medial head and then there's the lateral head, so the outside and the inside.
Because I was duck toeing it and pigeon toeing it. That's what I
Right.
called it for myself.
Yeah, so when you go into E version, and you go up on your toes.
The real names for it.
Yeah, that works your medial, so the inside, and then if you turn your toes in, it works the outside of your calf as well.
Ah, okay. I got something right. Whew.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Finally,
Yeah, you nailed it.
I got one. So, anybody that wants to come in and learn how to do this, what do they have to do with you guys?
You know, they can go online and
Yeah.
they can take a look at one of our facilities that's closest to them in the Denver area.
Okay.
There's actually an info request form that they can fill out.
Okay.
If they have any questions or they'd like some fine tuning for the program or one that's specific for them, all they have to do is fill out that form. It gets sent directly to us in the clubs
Okay.
so that we can find the right trainer that is specific to those goals to actually get connected with them and invite them into the club to help teach them some of these things and get them started on our program.
Tell them what that website is one more time so they can get to you.
The website is zoneathleticlubs.com and also prestige-fitness.com.
Absolutely, guys. Head over there as soon as possible because exercise means a healthy lifestyle, and a healthy lifestyle means that you last a long time and you don't start aging like me prematurely.
We're the same age. Just kidding.
She's much, much younger. I'm way old. But guys, don't forget to like this content because every time we make it, we want you to get more of it. So subscribe to the channel, head over to the website, get a hold of a personal trainer today, get yourself into the position you want to be in your life and with your body because keep the machine going as long as possible. And it is a machine and you have to learn how to get the machine going the right way.
Absolutely.
Am I wrong?
Nope. We don't want any kinks in our machine.
I like the way she thinks. Guys, I'm Josh. This is
Lisa.
saying thanks for listening to the podcast. And as always, we'll see you next time.